How's everybody doing? We're just doing a fun draft show tonight with Nexus Sports Network. I got Christopher Topher Spar over here. I got Logan Windsor, and I got Cameron over here too. Cameron the Champagne. We're gonna talk about the NBA draft tonight. It's a terrible draft, but we're gonna have fun with it anyway.
We don't know.
Let's not call out the players before they even get picked.
Isn't that the media's job, though?
I will say that it's very tough because there wasn't a March Madness to really see these guys in primetime action, so we really don't know.
That's a good point.
I like a lot of these players in these drafts. I know Cameron doesn't, but there's a lot of guys that I'm excited to see where they go tonight.
I'm super interested in LaMelo Ball. I'm a huge RJ Hampton guy. I think that he's very underrated, and I don't know why he's falling. I've seen a lot of mock drafts where Cole Anthony falls past the lottery. I am really excited to see where all these people end up. I don't think it's fair to call out the players before they even step on an NBA floor.
Now, we can call out the 2018 and 2019 class all I want because they played.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So just to move it along a little bit, we've got some key points that are happening. Just a little bit ago, about an hour ago, the Thunder acquired aging Al Horford for Danny Green. What does everybody think about that?
Is that the Thunder got 2 more first-round picks to add to their infinite supply in the next 7 years. They will not stop until they have every lottery pick in history, and I love it.
Chris, you were talking about the pick a little bit earlier. What do you feel?
I think that it was an interesting move for the Thunder because now they have an aging vet, and it really just extends the amount of time that they're going to be rebuilding for. Because having a piece like Al Horford is great when it's not only affordable, but when you also have a team to put around him, and he's like a nice finishing piece. But when you're in the middle of a rebuild, the way the Thunder are, it's just an interesting decision to take on $81 million over the next 3 years while you're trying to rebuild. It was really curious for me. And maybe getting rid of Danny Green, I thought bringing Danny Green in was a solid move because that's $15 million off the books next year for a 32-year-old shooting guard, 3-and-D. But now they're taking on a veteran with a 3-year contract, and they're in the middle of a rebuild. So why would you want $27 million a year going to a guy who's going to contribute but isn't really a part of your plans?
I wouldn't really say the Thunder are in a rebuild because they lost aging Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder, but they gained Kelly Oubre, Aaron Baines, Al Horford, and we don't know who they're going to sign. We don't know who they're going to draft. I mean, we all thought last year the Thunder were going to be the worst team in the Western Conference, and they gave the Rockets a run for their money. You know, I wouldn't automatically say that the Thunder are rebuilding. I think they're set up for the future no matter what they do because of the amount of draft picks that they have. But I wouldn't call it they're immediately tanking.
Well, you make a good
point.
point.
I think this way too. The guys that they brought in, you have Rubio, who's on a 2-year. Mm-hmm. He had 2 years left on his deal. That was 3 years. Before the trade to Chris Paul, he was signed for 3 years. Now he has 2 years left. Oubre only has 1 year left. Most of the people they got from the Suns, outside of potentially Ty Jerome, are all, at least you could call them veterans. Rubio's a veteran. Oubre's been around the league a bit. I'm not sure.
It's not like they traded Shea Gilgeous. They traded Chris Paul, who's 36. So
yes, they had Shea Gilgeous.
So were they rebuilding last year? Were they rebuilding last year or no?
I would say they are. I think they were playing with house money when they made it to the playoffs. I think they thought, let's see how far we can make it. And I also think that they thought Billy Donovan was going to resign. And Billy Donovan left. And I think that's what signified their rebuild. I think that's when they really just were like, all right, let's get the $44 million that we owe to Chris Paul off the books. They did that. They brought in a bunch of expiring deals. No one that they got from that deal is required to be brought back. The only one that has over 2 years on their deal is Ty Jerome, and that's if they pick up his option. So all those players are off the books in at least 2 years. That's why I think that Al Horford, who's going to be around for 3 years, was a curious decision. I think it's just prolonging a rebuild.
All right, really.
On the Sixers side, that's a great move for them. They get rid of Al Horford, which was probably one of the worst signings in the last 5 years.
I agree
with that off their books. They get Danny Green when they desperately need perimeter shooting. And they're not going to have any solid picks for the next few years. So I think them getting rid of first-round picks isn't that big of a deal for them.
And just to go to the other side of that trade really quick, I think Philadelphia and Cameron, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think Philadelphia is finally taking a hint to actually get shooters on their team for once in their lives. Instead, I know Danny Green had a bad playoffs and all. He didn't have the best playoffs, but he's still a good shooter. They got Al Horford's contract off their books, which I think was good for them because that was an atrocious contract. We all know that. So I honestly think this was a good trade for Philadelphia. And also I think it sets them up as well to go for another player. But I don't know if we have time to talk too much about James Harden, but I know that they're set up well to add another max contract player right now. And they have the pieces to put together a decent trade. The Nets are in that conversation too. I've heard Golden State, the Timberwolves have been in that conversation. But really quickly, just one of the biggest topics right now in the NBA, where do you guys think in the end, at the start of this coming season in December, what jersey will James Harden be wearing really quickly? We'll start with Chris.
Rockets.
Okay.
I think he's going to stay in Houston. I don't see him moving until at least a quarter way through the season.
Logan, what do you feel?
Not an NBA champion. I do not think James, even if he goes to a team
That's not an answer.
Hey, well, did I interrupt you when you didn't listen to me? You went on your Danny Green thing? No matter where James Harden goes, he's not going to help a team win a championship, especially a team that's already got 2 established stars, because that's not James Harden's role is that he's the primary ball handler and he can score 36 points a game by not passing anybody.
Right.
I think if the Rockets are going to trade him, they're going to trade him to a team that they can get actual draft capital from that isn't going to be a good team, and they're going to be a little envious. You know, I think they're going to get him to a team that's bad.
Well,
I guess the Timberwolves.
Let me run it past you really quick, because the trade that's been, and it's all of this is talk. Nothing is official. You never know what's going on. A lot of players like Victor Oladipo and Russell Westbrook have rumors going around right now. None of those might be true, but I think that Philadelphia, and me and Chris were talking about this earlier, and I don't know if Cameron, you might agree, but I could ask you this question. They have Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has struggled to work with Joel Embiid. I think that's a trade that lines up well, where he could go and be a player that you surround a team around instead. He almost looks close. He's not Giannis, but he plays somewhat like Giannis. Defensively, he's not. I just said he's not the same player, but he's him in some ways. He doesn't shoot the ball great, but he has a great post game. He's a great passer and he's a good defender. And teams have been building around pieces like that. And so James Harden, I think, fits well in Philly, and they have Ben Simmons in draft picks. So I didn't know what you thought about an opportunity like that, Cameron.
No, I think it's. I mean, wherever James Harden goes, they're gonna have to get a star return. They already told Brooklyn they either want Kyrie or Kevin Durant, and if they don't get either of those, he's not going to Brooklyn. So if Philly does make a trade, it's gonna have to be Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. It'll probably be Ben Simmons and probably.
I'll say my 2 cents about it. Joel Embiid is a pick and roll player, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
When is the last time you've ever seen James Harden run the pick and roll?
With Clint Capella, like all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Constantly.
Really? He made Clint Capella. He's one of the best pick and roll guards in the entire NBA.
Okay.
And Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was a great pick and roll player for a while with James Harden too. Even though it didn't work out exactly how they wanted it, they played pretty well the first 2 years together.
Again, I do not see the Rockets trading James Harden to a championship contender.
Right.
I just don't see it. They're going to be spiteful about this. I think they'll trade him to a team that's terrible because he has no say in the matter. Restricted free agent. So moving it away a little bit, this Bogdanovich situation that's going on right now.
Well, we didn't have to bring up the Bucks, but now you want to. So
no, I'm bringing it up because it's actually an interesting situation.
Okay.
So restricted free agents, they have a say on a sign and trade.
Yep.
Unrestricted free agents don't.
Correct.
So James Harden has zero say in this matter. They could trade him to St. Mary's School of the Blind, and he would have no say in the matter.
Yeah.
So trading to a team like the Kings, the Timberwolves, the Wizards, they could do any of that. I know they were talking about Russ and John Wall. That'd be a big, middle finger to Russ if they did that. I see no reason why the Rockets should trade him to the Nets or the Sixers or anybody.
All right, we'll move on to the next topic. I'll start with Cameron. We just got news about 30 minutes ago that Klay Thompson was in a workout and he hurt his knee again, and they're undergoing tests right now to check to see what it possibly could be. Does this derail the whole plan that they had to tank an entire season to get the number 2 pick? And is Klay Thompson hitting that point in his career where he starts to catch up with age and injuries, and you start thinking, can we win with the team that we have constructed right now?
Yes, it totally derails them. I mean, without Kevin Durant now, last year showed, even at the start of the year, with Klay Thompson, but just with Steph Curry before he even got hurt, they weren't the same team. Yep. So yeah, it's definitely going to derail, and I think Klay, if he does have to sit out another year, maybe if he re-tore his ACL possibly, or a very serious injury at the least, I think they'll probably trade him after this year. So.
Which I'll ask Chris, but does that affect the chemistry if they start thinking about things? Because, the championships were won on 3 players that had great chemistry, and they were brought together by Steve Kerr, obviously. When Mark Jackson was there, it wasn't to the point where it is now with Steve Kerr, obviously. So is it a Steve Kerr thing? Is it the 3 players that got them there? We don't know. But does that mess up? Does any trade involving Klay Thompson later down the road affect their future in any sort of way, in a good way or a bad way, Chris?
I am not even going to entertain the idea that they're trading Klay Thompson. I find that to be a very ridiculous statement.
Well, we're not saying right now.
It's a completely unfounded and ridiculous statement. He tore his ACL, and then they extended him for another 4 years.
You're right, yeah.
Why would they think? For one thing, we don't know. As far as I know, I don't know what the injury is. I'm not sure if it's serious.
Correct.
I don't know if it's been released that it's a serious injury. But it could be
an injury right now.
They don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what the injury is, but
it could be as simple as he needs to get his knee scoped, and he'll be back before the season starts. So speculating that he retore his ACL or that it's serious or that he'll even be out for the year, I think at this point in time is silly. I also don't believe that this would derail their season in any way. They're about to draft a player with the 2nd overall pick or trade, which you'd figure that you'd probably get high draft capital with this. I just don't see them trading Klay Thompson to even be a reasonable statement.
Okay.
First of all, you can't trade anybody while they're injured. That goes without saying. That's elite. That's not, can't do that.
Yep.
Second, you're right, Chris. They just extended him, and he's one of the 2 most important figures in Golden State Warrior history. He will die a Golden State Warrior. And 3, we don't know what it could be.
Yeah, exactly. I guess. And I'm asking you.
It's a little bit. I'm going to be out.
I'm asking you guys this question just to create a conversation.
Honestly, I know the Warriors are picking 2nd tonight. This injury, unless they know that it's an ACL injury,
right? But
they might not know.
Yeah,
should not factor into this pick whatsoever.
100%, I agree. I'm saying, I guess my question was, and this is the hot take question. That's what we're asking right now. I'm not saying we don't know the injury for Klay Thompson. We're not saying we know it. It could be something simple. If it's simple, then this has nothing to do with anything. But I guess my question going on is, are the best days for the Warriors behind them, or are they still ahead of them?
We don't know. We don't. It depends on who they take tonight.
It's a hot take. Answer the question. What do you believe?
No, because
that's what I'm at.
Warriors.
Yeah.
They're the same team. They have the same guys, and they're the 2nd overall pick. No.
Okay, that's a good point. That's all, Matt. What do you think, Chris?
I wouldn't be surprised. We're talking about a team whose top 3 players, the big 3 of the Warriors, Curry, Klay, and Draymond, are now all over 30 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. I think Logan's right. I don't think it's fair to speculate. They just came up with what was a brutal season that the organization knew was going to be a tough season. They knew they were without Klay. Curry ended up going down early, which no one was expecting, but I think even if they kept Curry healthy, they might have missed the playoffs. They probably could have ended up inside the bubble, but I think it's fair to say that they could definitely be behind them. It's their team's aging. It just happens.
Yep. It's
not everyone's LeBron James. It's just how it works. LeBron isn't people. That's what it is.
We'll finish this point out with Cameron closing it out. Just any final thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I mean, if they already know the injury, it's not going to affect. I think they're picking probably Wiseman no matter what. So
I think that's the consensus. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a trade, but I think you're right. If they're taking the pick, it's probably going to be Wiseman.
I don't see any 3 of those guys fitting in with the Warriors system. For being honest, I don't see any of those 3 guys fitting with the Timberwolves or the Warriors. So I can either of them trade. The reason why the by the way, just a rant really quick. How long have the Timberwolves known they're going to be the 1st overall pick? Months now? Why do they need this extra 5 minutes of deliberation on who they're going to take? I mean, what is this? This happens in the NFL draft.
They're the Timberwolves. They're the Timberwolves.
draft.
I'm not saying it's the Timberwolves. It happens every year.
They do it on purpose. It's for dramatic.
Welcome to the 2020 NBA draft. The Timberwolves are selecting LaMelo Ball or James Wiseman or whatever.
All right, so
what is this?
They don't know.
How do they not know?
So I'm gonna really quick. I'm gonna go back to a point that Cameron gave. You know, other people are obviously. He just said he included James Wiseman in that conversation. Logan said there's a trade. You're talking about another guy that you really like, Cameron, Obi Toppin. There's been a lot of chatter around Obi Toppin. He worked out with the Warriors as well. I think he fits really well with that team. I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say. Cameron was the first to talk about it.
We got a minute left, so why don't we just guess who's it's going to be? Because it's going to happen in the next...
We'll go with Minnesota first. Who's Minnesota taking, guys?
Yeah, Chris?
Anthony Edwards.
I'm going Anthony Edwards, too.
Yeah, me too.
I think we're going with the sweep. I don't think it's been as complicated as people are making it. I think that's the player they've wanted from the start. Obviously, they're going to take 20 minutes to choose a player because that's how the drafts go for some reason.
I don't think they wanted him. I think they wanted a really damn good trade package, and they were fishing literally every team.
Yep.
Because, Justin, you were the first sentence you said on the show. Hi, welcome to the absolute worst draft of NBA.
100%, yeah.
No, so I would say, from what it seems like, there isn't a Zion, there isn't a Luka in this draft. So that first overall pick doesn't have as much value as it's had the previous years. And I think the Timberwolves were trying to get that value from other teams. I know the Hornets were trying to trade up. I know the Bulls were trying to trade up.
Here comes the selection really quickly.
So I'm going to take my guess. I mean, I think they're just going to settle for Anthony Edwards. That's settled. Because Anthony Edwards is a great player. And I think him and Kat are going to probably do really well together. Not really well being they win 30 games. But
and the picks in, it's Anthony Edwards. So all four of us started off the right way. We got that one right. I think that was pretty easy. At the end of the draft process today, most people were the consensus was that Anthony Edwards was going to be the number one pick in the draft. He probably has the most upside athletically and jump shot wise out of any of these players. Defensively, he's not the player that he needs to be at. He's going to have to work a lot. He is right now, we can't compare him to players, but his game's very similar to combo guards like James Harden that are good in the pick and roll. He's going to be that type of guard. He needs to improve defensively just like James Harden has improved defensively as his career has went along to be a successful all-star player. Not saying that he's James Harden. I'm just saying his game translates in a way that James Harden's ISO game translates in the NBA.
He's going to be one of the better how we talk about Ja being just an absolute force in the paint. This dude is like an NFL running back. He plays massive bully ball. He is going to get so many N1s. He's going to get so many powerful dunks. It's going to be incredible to watch. He's going to be one of those guys that shows up on the top 10 plays pretty much every single week. Now, whether that's going to result in Rookie of the Year or 15, 20 points per game we don't know yet. But it's going to, you know what it's going to do? It's going to sell tickets in Minnesota, which is their number one need right now because outside of him and Cat, that team is boring. D'Lo's boring.
What?
I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me?
That's a ridiculous statement. It's almost as ridiculous as
Cam. He was on the Nets and nobody cared.
Everyone.
He was on.
He led the team to the playoffs with literally Jared Dudley.
Anthony Edwards is going to be the next Andrew Wiggins.
My thing is,
they almost beat the 76ers. How are you?
My thing
is,
they
won one game against 76ers. Do not say they almost beat them.
And this is
every game was close, except one.
This is just a hot take, but I think with this Anthony Edwards pick, you can get anywhere between Josh Jackson from Kansas, that was a terrible pick a few years ago, same type of body. Obviously, Anthony Edwards weighs a little bit more. He's almost 230 pounds, which is just ridiculous for a guard.
Jackson is a running back. He's a running back.
But Josh
Jackson is 6'7".
But Josh Jackson and him compare similarly athletically and game wise. They might have different frames, but they play the same in a lot of ways. And his range of how good he could be is massive. Some people think he could be a great player. Some people aren't rating him as high. I know people that reporters have talked to them and they said they aren't as high as on him. So what in a whole, I guess, just to end this, what do we think as a whole for Minnesota? Does this pick make them a playoff team for sure, or does this keep them out of the playoffs still?
This pick takes them from the 15th team in the West to the 14th team in the West. It just, the problem is that they just don't have enough right now. I know D'Lo and Cat are fine, but they're not a playoff team. Okay. West is too good. Even in the East, there would be a borderline maybe playoff team, but the Western Conference, the Timberwolves and the Kings are going to be the worst teams, and those are still some pretty good teams.
Right, yeah.
So, I'm really interested. Golden State. There's two options: Wiseman or trade.
Yep.
What's it gonna be?
Denny Avdija. Denny Avdija. I wouldn't be. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he goes right now.
Well, the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors. You're right to say that they like Swiss Army knife players that can play in multiple positions. I think they're going to go center because they just don't have a center, and they need a rim protector defensively. Ever since, and I know Kevin Durant's not the best defender, but he was a really good rim protector when he was with the Warriors, and they lost that rim protection when they lost him.
If they take Wiseman here, which I'm willing to bet the house on that they're going to take Wiseman, that they believe that Draymond is on a serious decline, and he won't be able to play defense like he has in the past, especially in the paint. So what you could see, if they pick Wiseman here, you're going to see a Warriors offense you've never seen before. The center is going to be involved much more than it has in the past with JaVale McGee and Andrew Bogut. Because really what those guys really did was the same role that the Clippers center, Zubac played, which was just like a 20-minute guy who just came in to get boards every once in a while. Wiseman may be a 15 to 17 point per game guy in his rookie year.
Right. That's a fair assessment. Like, do we think that, because like a lot of these players, people that have been scouting these guys have different reviews. They have mixed feelings about these players. Some have them as this is an all-star caliber player that we just scouted, and some of them say we wouldn't take this player in the top 15 in the 15s and the 20s. That this is one of the craziest drafts because there are grades that people don't want to touch some of these players. I know that Wiseman's not in that list, but some I've heard some reports.
What you're trying to say, let's get out of the top 10 before we have. I think the top 10's pretty locked and loaded.
There are teams that I'm saying that are in the top 20 range, that are in the 20s that won't touch Wiseman obviously in this draft, that said they wouldn't draft him anyways. I've heard reports that they would not draft him anyways. Because they don't think his skills.
Yeah, Justin. I want to hear these reports.
I need your sourcing.
Pretty clear who the top.
If James Wiseman fell to 11, the team at 11 would pick him no matter what they had.
Why is it so poor?
His upside is too high. His upside is too high.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Wiseman has no chance of falling to 4.
People don't. I'm gonna tell you why.
But if before. The last year, he was supposed to be the number 1 guy, and it wasn't supposed to be close. It's only because Anthony Edwards had such a great year last year.
Right.
So, no, again, willing to bet the house if Wiseman goes here. The only way I don't see him going here is if the Warriors make a trade. That's it. That's the only way.
Well, the pick is in. I'd say that the Warriors are one of the most open teams out of there. I wouldn't be surprised if Wiseman went. I think that he's definitely the top pick. But I wouldn't be surprised if Denny Avdija goes. I wouldn't be surprised if Obi Toppin went.
I think the writing's in the wall.
If the Warriors don't make a trade here, I don't think a trade happens top 10.
No.
Because I think with the unknown of this draft
hold up. No.
And just because of the COVID, I don't think we're going to see many trades.
I wouldn't say
this is
that.
the only spot where I would really think there'd be a trade.
The Boston Celtics at 7. I think the Boston Celtics.
Because I think they need a guy. They need a guy that to be a 6th or 7th man right now. And I think a lot of these people in the draft could fill that role. Because the thing about this draft class is all these rookies are ready to go. There's not a lot of, besides a couple foreign guys, there's not a lot of project players. There's a lot of ready to go right now and make an impact on the team. Anthony Edwards is one of those guys. Now, whether Anthony Edwards is going to develop into an MVP candidate is still a question. But we know Anthony Edwards is going to be a starter right away. We know Wiseman's going to be a starter right away. We know Obi Toppin's probably going to be a starter or a six-man right away.
Well, yeah. Well, I would just say don't be shocked if they move to around the Pistons, Knicks, and Washington, the Washington range, because they really like Anika Okonkwo out of USC. He's a really talented center. He's a good rim protector. Both of these centers that are going to be picked in the top 10 are good rim protectors. But Boston said they want one of these two players. As we expected, the pick is now in, and they took James Wiseman. So the Warriors have done what everybody thought they would do, and they took the center that they desperately need. They haven't had a center with this amount of athleticism and rim protection potential. Can you say that again? Rim protection potential in a long time, and I think this does help them become another as good, or if not close to as good of a defensive team as they were back when they were winning championships. Start with Chris, because he was talking about some other players that they might take, but they end up going with the guy that everybody thought they were going to take. I do think this makes their defense a lot better right off the bat.
It's not very surprising. I still don't think he's going to be guarding the best big man on the team. That's still going to be Draymond Green. Draymond Green is likely still elite. He had a very he had a really tough year because he was forced to do ball handling. But yeah, his upside was really high. That's why I was thinking there's people in the 20s that wouldn't take him just as a project off the bench. Take the Hassan Whiteside role that he had in Portland. Just come off the bench, grab 8 boards, score some points, and rim protection.
I think Wiseman comes in already at the talent level of a Whiteside. He comes in already to make that impact from day one.
My point.
He's gonna be ready to make the impact. I'm not. He's gonna have to. It's gonna be like Ayton. He's gonna adjust a little to the defense and the physicality of the NBA because Ayton's defense came in and he was a little slow to pick up on it. I wouldn't be surprised if Wiseman has the same learning curve.
Here's the thing: Ayton played for the Suns. Wiseman's playing for the Warriors.
Yeah,
and that's what's the difference.
Situations.
I will go back to my point that I said earlier. A lot of times, a center is a hard pick to make because of the modern NBA. Wiseman had, and I maybe I worded it wrong, but they were talking about how he does not fit on their roster the way they play basketball. They wouldn't take him because he doesn't fit in the modern NBA. He's a great shot blocker. I compare him more towards Miles Turner than any player in the NBA. I think you guys, but he is almost the same player as Miles Turner. And he has to develop a jump shot to be a good player in the NBA, or he's just going to be a defensive specialist type of player. And he might come off the bench at the very worst. Like, that's the type of player he is. And people are talking about it as a top 10. I'm just giving you, I believe that he'll be a good player. I'm just saying there's a possibility, and that's why teams said they wouldn't like him because he doesn't fit on the way that they're trying to build their team, if that makes sense.
Logan.
2 names: Brooke Lopez, Marc Gasol.
But Brooke Lopez can shoot.
A three-pointer. It can happen.
Can shoot.
Hold on, but I have a different issue.
Okay.
How can you compare him to Miles Turner if Miles Turner already is one of the best three-point shooting bigs in the NBA?
Yeah,
because he can develop
Yeah,
into that,
he knows that too, right?
But I think that's what his trajectory is. I think he can develop into that type of player. I think that's more
beyond Miles Turner.
Miles Turner entered the NBA already being a quality stretch 5, and he developed.
He was not a terrific shooter.
Shots.
He was a good mid-range shooter.
James Wiseman can't shoot. That's why I'm saying Brooke Lopez and Marc Gasol. Brooke Lopez and Marc Gasol came into the league not shooting at all, which granted that was in a different era than now. But they developed into a great shooter. Which, by the way, the pick is in for the Hornets. I'm willing to bet my entire life that it's LaMelo.
LaMelo Ball. Michael Jordan needs. Let's just say Michael Jordan needs to sell tickets. He needs someone, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's LaMelo.
Like he cannot have. They have Graham and Rozier to sell tickets right
Right?
now.
Do
Like
not say Graham like that.
Devontae Graham's a nice player. He's a nice
is
player.
A
I
very
will say that if they take LaMelo, which I'm betting, that team's got a good future.
They,
Graham, PJ Washington is slept
Yes.
on, and that needs to stop.
and Bridges too.
Miles Bridges is a great player. The
They're-
pick is in,
Really
and
don't have any upside left.
the pick's in. It's LaMelo Ball, like we all thought. It's going exactly how we thought it would go. But they needed that player. They needed a do-it-all point guard that'll sell tickets, and that's exactly he has the family behind him with the crazy dad. He has the passing ability like his brother has. Really good instincts. He needs to develop a jump shot. Obviously, his jump shot's good, but it's not great yet. And it's honestly, I think he's more confident shooting the ball than his brother, but he looks very similar to what his brother looked like coming into the NBA. His jump shot's a little better, but that's going to debilitate him from being. He could be a good point guard to an all-star, and he has to have that jump shot to become a great player. You know what I'm saying? Like so.
Who else wishes LiAngelo Ball was still in NBA 2K?
Because Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, do not be surprised if LiAngelo ends up on the Charlotte Hornets. Do not be surprised.
Martin Brothers.
I want it to happen.
He wants the show, right? He wants a show.
Justin, you might want to lower your camera a little bit. Your head's like barely.
Oh, am I getting sliced off a little bit?
Yeah, I would lower it a little bit. There you go.
I wish LiAngelo Ball was still in 2K so that I could have all three Ball brothers on my team.
Dude, I get Kostas, I get Thanasis, and Giannis all on the same team every time, and it is just in Lob City, my dude.
They locked Jello out of 2K. He's gone now.
So,
he stole stuff from China, so.
Guess what?
His
Alrighty.
Billy Donovan's.
Now this is when it starts getting interesting because we really don't know who we're going to take. I think most people are expecting Obi Toppin. I'm going to take Patrick Williams. I'm going to bench him. Yeah.
Who would even have Obi Toppin on their charts?
Really?
It is between Patrick Williams and Denny Avdija. I have been looking into the Bulls because they're the only interesting team inside the top five. Whoever the Bulls don't take between those two are likely to end up. Who picks 5? Who picks next?
Picking 5. Cleveland picks 5.
After that, it's likely Obi Toppin because not too many teams inside the top 10 are as interested in Patrick Williams as I thought they would be. But Denny Avdija is supposedly topping Chicago's board. And right now, the only thing I could think they're doing is either deciding between those two small forwards that we mentioned and mulling over trades.
Yeah, I would say they're trying to get. I think they want to get Patrick Williams, but I think they can get him lower in the draft. But I'd have to imagine they've been trying to trade down because I think they can still get the guy that they want. I mean, we've seen that before with. The 49ers did it with Solomon Thomas a couple years ago.
That was one heck of a pick.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we need to also communicate. Like, this was where my first idea of where Boston was looking at to start off, but I don't think it's happening here. I think the Bulls have Zach LaVine and Wendell Carter Jr. They have Kobe White coming off the bench last year. They have some pieces. They have Lauri Markkanen, who's a solid power. They don't have a small forward. I think it's either. I think they're gonna go with Obi Toppin.
No, not
Toppin's like a center, isn't he?
Obi Toppin is a small forward, power forward.
No.
I'm saying
It's either it's Denny Avdija or Obi Toppin in this
I'm going
pick. I don't
Patrick
think
Williams and.
Patrick.
Let's bet the hell for Patrick Williams. Why not? I can be homeless.
I'm saying if they like Patrick Williams a lot, which out of Florida State, he's a great player. He's a good defender. He does a lot of great things. 3-and-D guy.
Wait. Is that just them complimenting this year's draft by calling them good players? I thought this was a terrible draft, Justin.
I'm trying to say what he does good, so I don't rip it. He's not a top 5 pick. This would be as if this would be Mitchell Trubisky, Daniel Jones type of pick if they want that high with Williams right now. And
Well,
they went with Patrick Williams.
I'll make sure to clip this and send it to you, Justin.
I am a little. I think this. I
By the
don't
way,
know.
who does Landon want them to take?
Probably Denny Avdiha.
I would have taken it because he's more skilled.
I'm very surprised. I'm shocked.
Patrick Williams. It's Patrick Williams.
You could have gotten this guy a lot farther back in the draft. I think this is.
The game.
If they like him a lot and he turns out great, then obviously it's a great pick. But also, like, I've seen so many teams try to do this, and it doesn't. In multiple sports, it doesn't work out. Like, the fact that you could have gotten more value for, and even maybe an extra pick or two. For
Again,
back.
I mentioned on the top of the show, with the draft class being uncertain because there was no March Madness, and the draft being virtual, there probably won't be many trades. I'm sure they tried, but at the end of the day, they're going to take the guy that they want.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I am also shocked. I wouldn't. Now I think would be a good time to take either Obi Toppin. I still like Denny Avdiha. I like him.
No, the Cleveland Cavaliers need another point guard, Chris. They need another one.
Oh, are we going Tyrese Maxey?
Yes.
Yes, I want to see Tyrese.
No, they'll go like Tyrese Halliburton or something out of Iowa State.
Oh yeah.
I just want to mention who's going to be running the Charlotte Hornets now.
You know what I think would be a good pick?
Who's it going to be? I think it's going to be LeVar.
I'll bet the house that LeVar buys the team.
I think Del Curry.
I think Isaac Okoro would be a good pick here. I think Isaac Okoro would be a good pick here.
Isaac Okoro?
Out
you don't
of
think it's
Auburn.
early?
Out of Auburn, he's a great defender. They're trying to build a team that has good defensive point guards.
Yeah, wait. Let's back up there. I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to build anything. I think they failed, and then they're in panic mode.
They have too many guards, man. They draft Colin Sexton. The next year, they draft Darius Garland, and now they're going to take Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, before I get to this point.
Killian Hayes, or R.J. Hampton. They'll take any of them.
A player like Okoro.
Oh, have him reach for Cole Anthony, please. Please.
It would make my night.
A player like Okoro, though.
Here's the thing. I really hope that they trade this pick and then package Kevin Love for something. That's what I hear. I just want to see Kevin Love leave Cleveland and be somewhere that's good for him.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Well,
can I just say this real? Kevin Porter Jr. got in some legal trouble. Let's just say that, and he was a promising player for the Cavaliers, but we don't know what's going to happen with that right now. So that's why I was picking up the Okoro possibility, because he can play at the shooting guard or the small forward position, which is a big need for them right now.
Here's the thing. Their need is they need a shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, 6-man, 7th-man, 8th-man, 9th-man, a coach, a GM, and an owner. That's what the Cleveland Cavaliers need right now.
And LeBron James.
More importantly than LeBron James.
Chris, you can go back to your point, because I just wanted to get that out, and then I was going to let you go from there.
I would like to see a trade involving Marcus Smart, and I'd like to say Enes Kanter, but he's hitting free agency. Marcus Smart and Gordon Hayward, and the 16th pick for the 5th pick in Kevin Love.
That would be great. Wow, Chris, look at you.
Well, the Celtics are
I'm awesome.
I'm
awesome, guys. I should be the GM of the Celtics.
Yeah. So Justin, let's say they still pick. Who are you saying they take, Justin?
I think it could be somewhat, because it depends where they're going. But I think it's a small forward, so it's either Avita or Okoro. I think it's one of those two players. I think they need versatility. I think they're going to go more defensive end. So Okoro fits that spot. He's an athletic defender, but it could be one of those two players. Obi Toppin could be in the mix too. We really just don't know. This pick's up for grabs at any spot, honestly.
I'm gonna say they make the dumb call and they do exactly what Justin thinks is good, and I'm gonna go Okoro.
I would love to see Toppin go. Then they could slide Kevin to the 5.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I'd like to see Toppin run their 4. I'd like to see them let Tristan hit the free agency finally. Give up.
Hashtag free Tristan Thompson, please.
Free Tristan. They need to free Kevin Love too, honestly.
They need to free their roster.
Andre Drummond. What is Andre Drummond
They just
doing
need
there
to drop
too?
a bomb on their stadium and call themselves a high school basketball.
What? Yeah. What's Andre Drummond is honestly. I feel.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot that team.
I forgot about it.
That's how bad it is for him. He's almost forgettable because he's there.
That's my pick.
No, now they're gonna take their. They can move.
One more.
Honestly, just let Kevin Porter on the bench. Take Denny Avdija. He's definitely the best available player for
I
them.
did not throw this player in, but Devin Vassell too is also a player that they could go with. He's a later pick, but Williams just went to the Bulls, so I don't know what's gonna. People are gonna take 3-and-D guys.
People like
Okoro. It's gonna be Okoro. Bet in the house. Bet the whole thing. You want to be Cam's roommate? Be Cam's roommate. It's gonna be Okoro.
You think? All right. I have no idea who they're gonna pick here. I thought they were gonna trade out of this pick, honestly, but it doesn't look like that as the clock starts to dwindle. Cameron, what do you think they need? A lot of
a team.
Like I said, Logan said everything. They need
everything.
Another point guard would be amazing.
Well, there's
I would love it, but it's not going to happen. It can't happen.
Halberton would make my night. It would be so funny. It would be so funny if they just took another point guard.
They do need another point guard because they've missed on all their point guards that they've taken.
Whoa, Colin Sexton.
Whoa. They're both good. Still good.
He has potential. He's not one yet.
He's not a top 10 pick potential good, though. He's all right.
He's one season.
He's nice.
He got put in the worst situation possible. He got paired with a developing point guard. I don't blame him.
They took
Isaac.
Tell me I don't know anything because they just took Isaac Okoro. They took exactly who I thought they were going to take. A defensive wing that's athletic. Because they keep taking point guards and they finally need to do something that's going to make their team somewhat better.
How about this? Let's look on the upside of this selection. While they don't have to wait for Kevin Porter Jr. to develop because now they've already drafted someone that's a step above him talent-wise.
Yep.
Now they have a good wing defender that could also put up threes. I would comp Isaac
I've ever seen.
to OG Anunoby type player, and I think that would be a great piece to help Darius Garland learn how to run a team as a floor general. Upside there. That is the most positive spin I could put on this selection because I think they could have done better.
I too believe. I think your point is valid. I think. I like I said, they took this player because he's at least going to be a good defender. You can't get much worse than what they've done in the past. And so, instead of taking another point guard,
This is the most negative live stream ever.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
they took a good pick. I think this is a good pick.
They already picked. It's Oneku. He's the perfect match for Trae Young.
Yeah, but they have Clint Capella already.
They have Capella and John Collins.
And Hunter.
They need Obi Toppin or a small forward.
And first of all, you're talking about Atlanta, so any logic, please push it to the waist.
They've already missed on
Capella is part of their future.
He's not, but still. Listen, they've already missed on a foreign small forward with ball handling skills. Why would they do it again?
Because they're the Hawks.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, not to be negative, I think
Are you calling me a liar? You're saying they're not going to take Onyeka?
The best pick
Wait.
for them,
I thought you said they already made the pick.
They did. I'm just saying they're going to make the pick.
They have not made the pick yet.
I think Denny Avdija makes so much sense here. They don't They have DeAndre Hunter, but he was kind of sorry last year.
I would take the best player, in my opinion, on the board because you need a player that can play well offensively with Trae Young, and that's Obi Toppin. I would take Obi Toppin and live with what happens afterwards.
They already have 3 bigs.
He's not, but he can play small forward and power forward because of his shooting ability. So he
Think about this lineup. Think about this lineup. Trae Young, Kevin Hutter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Oneka. That is like a 8th seed lineup right there.
But I mean,
Oneka is so one-dimensional.
At this rate, it looks like they're going to take a player too because of the clock. They could have traded out of this pick, and they could have added Clint Capella.
Atlanta Hawks front office making a trade. I can't believe they're going to be competent enough to take somebody right now.
They got Carmelo Anthony for like 36 hours.
They're going to get it's going to be auto drafted for the Hawks.
I think they're shocked. I think they're shocked that Avita and Obi Toppin are still available at this point because the Bulls decided to be what the Bulls normally are, picking players, and they took a player that wasn't supposed to go that high and they could have gotten later. And so now we're seeing the good thing about this is now players that I wouldn't have picked in the top 3 are now very valuable at the pick 6 right now. Avita and Obi Toppin are extremely valuable at the 6th spot. I think there's no way that you could pass on one of those 2 players at this point.
Hawks won't take them, but are we undermining Killian Hayes here?
We are.
Killian
I
Hayes.
think we are. Killian Hayes, I would argue, is similar in value to Halliburton and more versatile because he can play the 2 better than Halliburton can.
Is Derrick Rose not part of the Pistons anymore?
No, he is.
Is he? Is he on a contract?
For 2 more years.
2 more years? Okay.
Don't say that they won't take a guard though, because
They're going to be point guard.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I will say the last time a French point guard that was of any high...
No, it's invalid about Ntilikina because he was on the Knicks.
You shouldn't be comparing him. For one thing, he's still working to develop. And
TJ Wilson is still
Dennis shouldn't be the pick.
Are you saying Ntilikina is still developing?
Yeah, I was going to say he's not developing.
23 years old.
All right, the pick is in. It's on next.
I think like his career is over before he turns 24 years old.
Yeah.
No team. So obviously.
What was he taken 9th in that draft, or was it 8th?
8th. Dennis Smith went 9th.
Yes, that's what it was.
So
I mean,
everyone was like, "Oh wow."
The Boston Celtics night is not going as they planned, though. They've literally been trying all day to move into the top 10, and it doesn't look good for them.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody is going to be. There's not going to be many trades tonight. I don't think so. There wasn't anything in the NFL draft.
I
right?
agree.
There was one trade, the Vikings trade, right?
The fact that you can't scout these players, right, is a big deal because as much as you'd like, because you don't even have their tournament film because there was no tournament. You don't have workouts really because there weren't many workouts going on during this time. So you don't have what you'd like, the information I guess that you'd want to have during a draft like this.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously scares away teams from doing anything crazy, and a lot of times when you get into the top 5, you're giving away a decent sum to move up, especially the Boston Celtics, who are at pick 16. That's their best pick right now. Obviously, they have 3 picks, but they have the ability to move if they want to. It's only if they feel like they have to, and they do like the 2 top centers in this draft. One's already gone, obviously.
Yeah.
That's the only possibility. I don't think there's a lot of trading that's going to happen anyways, but the only team that I thought would trade up were the Knicks and the Boston Celtics. And I think the Knicks, that idea is over. They're not going to trade up.
Quickly, before it comes in, everybody, I have Oneka. Chris, who do you have?
It's kind of late.
It's Okonkwo.
Okonkwo.
So Logan was right. And
Oh,
that is rough for the Boston Celtics because obviously now they're not going to trade up because they lost both the players that they wanted. So now they're just going to sit pat.
There's still valuable centers available to be selected.
Yeah, but they're not going to trade up. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to trade up for those centers. They're going to sit where they're at right now because they can get a player that's a center where they're at.
He has to live in Atlanta now.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. Good job on Logan. Logan called this pick, but I think it's a good pick. I don't know if it fits with what their needs are 100%, but I think it's a good pick.
I think every draft there is one of these guys that has so much potential that he could become a star. I think Oneka is that guy, or he's a bust. Mo Bamba, Giannis, Thonmaker, just one of these guys that's just got length for days.
And he's a great rim protector already. Like, it makes sense. But then, does that? And I'll go straight to this topic because this will get us talking a little bit. But does that mean they haven't even really played Clint Capella at all? But does that mean they're already ready to move on from Clint Capella?
He's a really good French point guard. He's like the Doncic of this draft, where he's just being severely underrated. I'm sorry, Killian Hayes here. I think he's one of the more slept guys because foreign guys are always slept on if they're not Luka Doncic. Even Luka Doncic.
Porzingis
wasn't really slept on, but
he went third overall.
The Knicks fans were crying.
Okay, well that's the fans. We're talking about the management. The management.
Okay. So, I really like Hayes here. Honestly, he brings a dynamic offense to what the Pistons don't have.
Whoa.
And I think the perfect person to teach him is Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose is just at that point of his career now where he's a mentor. I don't know if he's going to be playing as a starter role anymore with 35 minutes a game.
And we have Trevor Ariza now, too.
Well, instantly, I kid you not, like 20 seconds into their clock, the Pistons have put in their pick. So obviously they knew who they were going with. Because Isaac Okoro came off the board, and they were like, we're going to plan B. And they had plan B ready. And so...
I don't think Okoro was plan A. I think that they've been planning on getting Tyrese Halliburton since the beginning of this draft.
I think, obviously, Tyrese Halliburton is a great player. We're talking about Hayes and Halliburton in this pick, most likely. It's one of those, they need a point guard. I think, I agree with, the upside of Hayes is too much, in my opinion, to pass on. If you're trying to get a star, and that's, at this point, do you want a good point guard, or do you want a potential to get a great point guard? And you got to be willing to take that risk on Hayes because he has that ability to be that good.
I think Tyrese Halliburton is already better, and I think that he has the potential to be a substantially better player than Hayes. I think Hayes has more potential to be a bust than Halliburton does.
Oh, we agree on that. We don't disagree on that.
How many picks have you gotten correct tonight? Because refresh me. I'm not sure how many you've gotten right.
You're about to get one wrong. If that's what you're looking to
Hey, $5?
Why would I bet money?
Aww.
Look, some people have Killian Hayes ranked as a top 5 prospect in this draft. That's how much upside he has.
I'm not one of those people.
And that's fair.
I have an addiction. It's going to be, I think.
It's going to be a point guard. It's a point guard. It's between these two players. It's a point guard.
I'm going Hayes.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't a point guard. It's Killian Hayes. That's who they just picked. What's up, Logan? Chris, you're what, toe for 7 or something?
Oh!
We all agreed on the first 4. Oh no, first 3. I do not know. I am shocked. I'm confused at how Denny Avdija is still on the board.
I'm shocked that nobody's taken Obi. I mean, what is it? Is this New York?
Yeah.
And on the clock now, if I can bring in the segment, James Dolan's team is on the clock now, ladies and gentlemen. James Dolan is on the clock.
Off the board. They can't stop themselves from taking foreign players.
James Dolan. Let's just reminisce on the fact that James Dolan is on the clock right now, and with James Dolan, anything can happen. Anything can happen, and it's always bad. I feel bad for any kid that gets drafted. I know we should be talking positively because this is the best day of any kid's life that's getting drafted tonight. But this is honestly, out of all the teams in the top, I would rather go to the Cavaliers than the Knicks right now, honestly. That's how bad.
Yes, What if the Westbrook trade happens right now?
I don't know if that. I don't see
No,
that
no
happening.
major trade will happen tonight. It's not going to happen. I wish it was going to happen, but it's not going to.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Julius Randle.
For Russell Westbrook, straight up.
Kevin Knox.
That would be.
Julius Randle, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and the 8th overall pick.
You're expecting the New York Knicks to make a trade that benefits them, and that's impossible. There is a reason that these teams, besides the Warriors, of course, there's a reason these top 10 teams are the top 10 teams in every single draft. There's a reason.
All right, fine. Then my pick is either Tyrese Halliburton or Denny of the Hot. It's one of the two because I have a hard time believing that they're going to pass on a foreign player because they never do.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna take Tyrese Halliburton, another point guard, It's like I'm on a recorder that just can't stop replaying it over and over and over again. They're taking yet another point guard, hoping that point guard turns into something good.
Well, what did they take? They took Frank Ntilikina, and then they traded for Dennis Smith, and then they signed Elfrid Payton. They just keep doing this to themselves. I don't know why. Remember when Kevin Knox had promised because he dunked on a guy during the summer league, and that was his whole potential.
Any pick, and I feel terribly saying this, but any pick that goes to the Knicks is already set up for failure, and it's terrible.
Well, you know what? The Knicks are going to take the big name because that's the Knicks do. Let's go Obi-Wan Toppin. I think it's time, and he's going to bust and explode.
That's a great point. I didn't even think they might make a great pick and pick Obi Toppin, but that seems too obvious for them to do.
Yeah. Here's the thing: when it's too obvious for the Knicks, that's when you have to do reverse psychology. So the Knicks have programmed you to believe that they don't take these moves where it's too obvious they won't. Now they got you.
But it doesn't. It makes no sense. Why would they?
At that point, it makes no sense. That's why they're gonna take Obi Toppin.
Taking Obi Toppin here, they have Julius Randle under contract. They
don't they already have 3 power forwards they signed in the last free agency?
Yes, and they're all under contract.
Oh, please let it be Obi Toppin. That'd be. Oh man, come on.
They need Tyrese Halliburton. They need a starting point guard.
Wait. Are you saying the Knicks need positions?
They need both guard spots.
Cool, Obi Toppin.
Actually, RJ Barrett is disappointing, but I'm not counting him out of the race yet.
Well, you were surprised that with the Knicks, there was a nice player, but he's not. Even if any player, even if a player becomes nice on the Knicks, even if they're good, they leave. Then they just leave. They want out if they're good.
Trey Burke.
Any player that's and Logan, you're on fire right now. The pick is in. It's Obi Toppin out of Davis.
Logan's got every pick right.
Chris is toe for 8 now.
Topher, you're doing this really bad. I know I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here entertaining.
Wait, can I? This is why Chris is our NFL draft expert.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
That's the worst possible pick they could. They could not. He's not even the best available talent. It's not even like they picked out the player on the board.
I honestly think this is one of the.
How can you not tell me he doesn't have talent?
I think this is one of the best picks they've ever made.
Available talent, Cam. You don't listen.
This is.
And you're 0 for 6.
I think this. And
8 picks made.
Cameron, me and you, I think see similarly. Me and you see similarly here. I think this is one of the best Knicks picks they've had in since they picked Porzingis.
This is their fourth power forward.
This is a great pick.
Yeah, but listen. You said with that Julius Randle earlier for Russell Westbrook. What if they trade all their power forwards and get Russell?
Why would all of your power forwards? Why would they go out of their way and be like, I want
Cameron, I'm sorry, I was just confused. He's expecting the Knicks to be logical when they're not.
They're never logical.
Maybe if they package like Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, and Bobby Portis,
Any Avija?
a match contract, and then they get Mitchell Robinson as like a talent, and then they do that with pick and get Westbrook. That could be something that happens. Just
They might trade.
No, there's no way.
So we're now in a really terrible position for Washington. They basically have all the players that they didn't want, except for one player that has been sitting there and was supposed to go in the top 3 in Avita. Is it just finally time for him to go?
I'm gonna Wisner bomb everybody. It's gonna be Denny Avija. He's gonna fit in with them fine. That's what they need right now. I think Thomas Bryant, they're expecting to make another huge step. Thomas Bryant, low-key, most improved player of the year next year. They need a 3 and a 4. Avija can play both, depending on how small they go or big they go.
Well, they have Rui Hachimura though, and he was really
He said he said
Their best player.
the best player on their team other than Bradley Beal.
Well,
Rui is a good player. Rui is a good player.
Well, Rui and
But let's be they don't have a small forward at all. They don't have a good small
you
forward.
can't play position basketball like that. They just need somebody like 6'7" to 6'8" right now. They just need that like 3-level scorer that could play a little bit.
It's gonna be like Avita or Sadiq Bey from Villanova. It's gonna be one of those two players. They need a wing. They need a wing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Avija. I think
that's the logical pick too. Chris, can you please join our train so you can be right at least one time inside the top 10?
I've been saying Denny Avdija is going to go for the past 4 picks, so hopefully he goes now. Actually, I thought the Knicks were going to make a really good decision and take Tyrese Halliburton. I completely misjudged my hometown team.
We totally glossed over that.
We forget that Washington with John Wall is a good team, and if they make a good pick here, they could be back in the playoffs.
I think Denny Avdija or potentially Devin Vassell will go here. I don't.
No, because he's too similar to Bradley Beal.
Vassell?
Okay, that's fair.
Vassell's a taller shooting guard. He's a defensive player. He's good.
But he's also really good organization.
I understand what you're. They need a wing. They need a wing. Let's just be honest.
Really? If John Wall's coming back this year, I don't think so.
John Wall's gone.
I mean, who's their current backup shooting guard?
Isaac Bonga.
They're gonna play someone that's pick someone that's versatile and can play the wing. It's gonna be a small forward probably that's versatile. It's gonna be Avia or Sadiq Bey.
You gotta stake your claim, Justin. Where's the claim gonna be?
I think it's Avia just because he's the best player available on the board right now.
If I get it right, that makes it.
But it wouldn't shock me if they took Bey because he has good potential and he had a really good season out of Villanova.
But I am so high on like every Villanova player. They make good players. I'm a huge Sadiq Bey guy. I was huge on Josh Hart. Oh, I totally forgot about Davies. Davies Bertans. I totally forgot. Is he a starter for now for the Wizards or no?
Yes.
Bertans, yeah. He's a good player. He would be a great if he could be moved to the bench more often though. He'd be a better player for them. They need that would add much needed. If their small forward that they take here doesn't have to start.
Stay here until I make a bad round pick, okay?
Did he get extended?
Davies?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, Bertans.
I think he did. I think it was a 2-year deal. I could be wrong. Justin, double check. Why don't you fact check for us? Did Davies get a extension?
It's Denny Avita. Yeah. Yep. So finally Christopher Spar joins the train now. Just so Logan's like LeBron James, I'm like AD, and we're just adding you to our team so you can join the winning side of things, Am I right, Lo? Is that a fair comparison?
Justin, I wish I could hit you through the computer.
We're the Lakers, and we're inviting Chris to join
Phoenix,
a winning team.
Who are the Suns taking? Now that they have Chris Paul.
It's Sadiq
So,
Bey.
I don't know because they traded for Chris Paul. They got rid of all of their bench depth in that trade. So really the door is wide open. I can tell you from my inside source that the idea was that they didn't want to pick here at 10. Either wanted to move up or move down. Now with the Chris Paul trade, that's up in the air. It is wide open on who they pick, really. Because they, besides a guard, which they will not take a guard 100%, they have like many options here.
I think it's Sadiq Bey.
I'm going to need a little bit more time to process.
I wouldn't count out Precious.
Yeah, he's a good player out of Memphis.
Oh my gosh, she's nasty.
Aaron Naismith.
Yeah, shot too.
Precious. Man, I'm leaning Precious, but I don't want to put the lock in yet.
Washington got a steal, by the way.
Can we last second because this is the hardest pick of the night because the Suns, depending on this pick, depending how this pick turns out in his first year, could be a sleeper contender to defeat somebody in the first round.
Aaron Naismith is another player that.
That's what I was looking at too. Between those two, I don't know.
He's a good player.
Pascal or Ellie Burton. They can't take another guard, can they?
And I'm just gonna throw this name in there because we don't know where this kid's gonna go, but Cole Anthony's gonna go somewhere around here. Some people say he's gonna go in the late teens, early 20s.
I feel like the teams
Some people have him in the top 10.
Gone now. I feel like the teams that would have taken a Cole Anthony are gone now, and there's just too many guards left that are better than Cole Anthony. So there is a very real chance he falls out of the lottery with 5 picks to go.
You're right, but I'm saying, and at pick 10, let's just start getting real here. These players are probably coming off the bench at this point, so you're trying to find a spark.
There's a few. No, I wouldn't say that.
I'm not saying all, but around this area, you'd expect a lot of these players to start their careers coming off the bench. So you're going for a player that not necessarily fits need, but fits firepower, gives you... Because Phoenix, I think as the consensus, we can say that they're a probable back-end playoff team in the West. Probably, if the Chris Paul.
I think that Cole Anthony, now that he has fallen this far, is going to be the Donovan Mitchell of this draft class.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
I am going that far.
I think he's
overrated.
a heavy usage rate player that had a bad year.
Only outside the top 10.
He has immense talent, don't get me wrong, but he has to change his game to be a good player in the NBA. And you bring up a good point about his usage rating, Cameron. He didn't have a good year at UNC when he was supposed to be a top 5 pick, and a lot of the players didn't like the way that he played. And so
yeah, no, it's selfish. He shot like 20 times a game. I get it. Like, they had a horrible year, but you're a freshman, supposed to be the savior of the team, and North Carolina was lucky that there was no March Madness because that would have been the first time in a very long time that they have not made that or the NIT because they weren't even above 500.
Yep. And they were catching on at the end. So North Carolina will be a better team this year than they were last year. But that's not the point. Cole Anthony he's always had the ability to be a great player. It's a player's mindset. Is he willing to do the right things to become a good player? And that's up in the air.
I kind of compare him to sort of like Kyrie. Not skill-wise, but mindset-wise. Kyrie's all about himself, and
that's a fair point, and that's what's going to be the career trajectory for him is like I keep reiterating. It all really depends on where he goes with his mindset on his career.
I'm really selfish, Cole, I think
Now,
selfish.
let's start with Logan because he's on a hot streak. Logan, this is the final pick of the top 10. Where do you think the Phoenix Suns are going to go?
Woj Jr. You got 8 seconds.
I know.
5, 4, 3.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah. If you somehow get this right, I just need to leave.
I don't know.
That's not happening, though.
I'm going with Sadiq Bey. I said Sadiq Bey first.
I don't see them picking anybody else. Again, I think the Suns have been planning. I'm gonna put it the same situation that it was the Cavs, who they had their guy. Jalen Smith has been in talks about being on the Suns the last couple months. They wanted to trade down. They have to trade down. If they don't, they're just gonna take their guy. And they have a lot of hype with Jalen Smith, especially with Chris Paul coming to them. We talk about guys that you're saying now they're bench pieces, and a lot of these guys left art. On the Suns, Jalen Smith has a chance of being that starting lineup by the end of the season, I believe.
He's what gets him those starting minutes, like you're talking about, is he's not like Wiseman, where he already has a developed shot as a big man, and that's what's going to give him playing time early, like you're saying.
Because imagine him with Aiden, dude.
He's a great three-point shooter. He's a great three-point shooter.
I think he beats on Sarge either day one or. Granted,
he's not even in yet.
So
but it has been said.
This is so insane that it probably won't happen. But I think having a dual big guy like that would be great. I don't think they can't go guard here. So the top 6 you can't take. And forward, I mean, I'm going. That's what I'm going with. And I can't. I'm out.
Yeah, it's not gonna
I'm
happen.
out.
It's probably.
Chris, what do you think?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I don't know. Let's see who it is.
Holy crap! Are you crazy, Logan? Right now?
What?
You got it right.
10 for 10. 10 for 10.
I completely just.
Yeah, I have just to add on to this. I have a really great story about Jalen Smith because my parents are watching, so they know this story because they told me this story. But they were, and it's no offense to him, but he made me upset because he flipped off the student section when they beat IU with a buzzer beater shot 2 years ago, and my parents went to an IU game, and they actually were in the elevator with Jalen Smith like a year ago. And they said he smelled so bad. So I thought that story was hilarious because they said he smelled so bad in the elevator, and he was such a guy that was such full of himself. And I just thought it was a funny story because my parents ran into him, and they said they couldn't even, they had to hold their breath in the elevator.
Oh yeah, Cameron's a Maryland.
Oh, that's right. Cameron's a Maryland guy.
Oh. Okay. This is a high pick. Once again, it's not as bad as the Bulls pick, but this is a high pick for this spot. They could have traded back.
This draft is about getting your guy, and imagine the backcourt of Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and a developed Delvin Smith and James Wiseman. That's a playoff team.
Well, and they have Cam Johnson, and they have and they have Mikal Bridges.
I really wish they kept Kelly Oubre because that'd be a great.
Well, they have Mikal Bridges now. They don't need Kelly Oubre.
That's a great point.
He's one of the best defensive wings in the league right now.
That team, if Devin Booker's a good defender, I don't know why people. That team may be one of the top 5 defensive teams in the league. No, they just gotta get rid of Sarge.
Sarge is a horrendous defender, especially.
I gotta give the front office of the Suns credit for the last week. They have pulled off, and they have made this team from bottom feeder to, granted they went 8-0 in the bubble, but they're still a bottom feeder. From a bottom feeder to a legit big way contender right now. They've had a great couple days.
So, we set that we were gonna do the first 10 picks. How you guys feeling
I
right
mean, we gotta keep going until I get one wrong, right? I mean, it's gonna probably happen here, but I mean, honestly, I'm surprised at how quick it's going.
Kira Lewis. That's my pick for right now.
Oh, just say I could get anybody here.
All right, now
I'm
that
saying
Chris is
Kira
picked.
Lewis.
I'm gonna go last.
I just think he's very Popovich.
I think you want to know who I think's very Popovich? Devin Vassell.
I mean, they need a 2-guard.
I think Devin Vassell is very Popovich. He's a great defender and he's a good shooter.
He's a really good what's it called? He's a really good defender. They need a shooting guard unless they think they're sticking with Derek White and Brian.
What about a center?
A center? They're running LaMarcus at the 5.
Yeah, but I mean, how long do you think they can they rely on LaMarcus?
Are you talking about San Antonio? Yeah, Marcus.
I think they got another year. Don't you?
I think Devin Vassell fits everything that this team's about.
But like, now we're getting to the point where it really doesn't matter what the things you really need immediately. These are guys who
Tyrese Halliburton too.
One of the guys they could start. But now you're looking at the point where it's like development projects, you know? Like, back in the day, we didn't need Giannis Antetokounmpo from day one, who's a project, you know?
It's a matter of, do you take the best player? Because Tyrese Halliburton is the best player available. He is by far the best player available. He should not, I cannot believe he slipped outside the top 10. I'm shocked that he slipped outside the top 10.
Kira Lewis.
The Bulls had to mess that up.
I think DeJounte Murray, he hasn't developed the way that I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to be a much better player. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. Give me Kira Lewis Jr.
I'm going Devin Vassell. I think he fits the team the way that Greg Popovich wants, and he's a good player. He's a good character. He has great character as well. Like, I think
I don't see a big man high enough on the board for them to be able to justify picking him here.
Well, every pick is like Logan's pick is going to be right. So whatever he says is going to be right.
Logan, it's the moment of truth.
There's no way he gets this.
Truth.
Aaron.
You're going to join me on the Devin Vassell train, right? You're going to join. Yes, you're going to join me on the Devin Vassell train.
Yeah, I honestly,
it's a Popovich guy, right?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean,
Vanderbilt too, but like it's hard at this point. You've gotten through the top 10. You should give yourself a pat on the back for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Devin Vassell can be a small forward too, and they really need some depth on that team.
They need more shooters, I think. Let's get to the full point. DeMar DeRozan can't shoot a 3. LaMarcus Aldridge cannot shoot a 3.
But by the way, what happened to DeMar DeRozan?
He was a good player last year. He was fine.
So quickly,
No. Hold up. Don't say
he didn't decline.
He averaged 22, 5, and 5 last year. He had a good year. He just played for a team that wasn't good.
But he didn't necessarily decline. He was used in a different way. He was the primary ball handler rather than.
I guess.
And the picks in. And me and Logan continue our train of success. It's Devin Vassell Devin Vassell is going to the San Antonio Spurs.
You gotta back up. Yeah. I'll let you know when it ends. All right. All right. Say bye to everybody, Cam.
Goodbye, everyone. I gotta go.
Bye, Cam.
Bye, Cam.
Is it really Devin Vassell?
It's Devin Vassell. It is, of course, Devin Vassell.
Nice job, Justin.
Let's go, man.
Thanks for the help.
This was a slam. This is the type of player that you go for. He's a great defender, and they need shooting. Because their top 2 players, I mean, DeMar DeRozan took only 37 threes last year. 37 total. He made only 30% of his threes.
That's not that. I mean, for him.
I mean, that's okay. Or 28. He made like 28, so about 30, like. It's okay, but like he doesn't
Oh.
shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes.
No, he's mid-range.
He's a great mid-range shooter.
Correct, right?
What's up?
The Kings are next, right?
Yeah, the Kings are next.
Tyrese.
Do you think they're giving up on De'Aaron Fox or something?
No, I think De'Aaron Fox is an
That's
all-star
available.
level player.
They have.
What did De'Aaron Fox do wrong last year? He averaged 20 points a game.
Yeah,
What do you want him to do?
I'm saying at one point when the Kings pretty much have everybody they like right now at each position. At one point, you just gotta go with the best available.
They could be a sleeper playoff team at the 8 seed too. They have the ability to be there. They just need. They're not gonna win anything, but they could be there. They could be at the dance. You know, they might not have a partner to dance with, but.
I don't think the Kings make the playoffs. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrese Halliburton goes because they literally list one of their needs as bench scoring.
The pick went in within 30 seconds.
Sadiq Bey. It's Sadiq Bey.
He really is that much better than everyone else on the board right now.
I'm going Sadiq Bey.
I mean, like, for example, Jordan Love was there at 26, and he was just so much better than everybody on the board, so the Packers just had to take him, right?
Or
sure. That's exactly what happened.
It's either Sadiq Bey or Aaron Naismith.
Oh, so you're not on board with me whatsoever.
What? I think it's
Tyrese.
I think it's Aaron Naismith, or I think Aaron Naismith. That's who I'm going to go with.
Oh,
I think Sadiq Bey is a possibility. I think Aaron Naismith.
Y'all should just pick who I pick, if you want to get it right. But I mean, that's it.
I'm going Tyrese Halliburton. This team clearly doesn't understand what needs are because they signed Harrison Barnes to a massive extension. I believe that it's kind of I'd say it's pretty obvious too. They have a starting lineup.
By the way, as he gets picked, I just want to shout out Oshkosh here. Tyrese was a legend in Southeast Wisconsin.
There you go.
I gotta get my boy a shout out.
Let's think about what does this team need. Oh well, it doesn't matter because they finally picked Halliburton off the board anyways. So I didn't think they needed him, but if they want to take the best player, then more power to them. More power to them. That's a good pick. I mean, he shouldn't have been outside the top 10. It's a great pick for them. I don't know.
He had the potential to go top. No, he clearly wouldn't. But he had the potential to go top 5 if a team really needed a point guard.
Like he's a great player.
He should have been off the board. Should have been a steal here with my Oshkosh boy.
He should have been on board at 7.
I'm rattled. It didn't go to Wisconsin or Marquette. I mean, I'm not gonna
they
cheer
obviously
for
they didn't need a point guard because they are extremely guard heavy right now on their roster. They have a ton of point.
Could you see a lineup with him, Buddy Hield, and De'Aaron Fox? Because I can.
They could play 3 guards, I guess, but like they have Yogi Ferrell. They have why am I forgetting?
Stop.
No, I'm just listing their point. They have why am I forgetting his name out of Kansas?
Frank Mason's on the Bucks.
Frank Mason left, I guess, so they don't have.
Yeah. By the way, G League MVP last year, Frank Mason. Got to give a shout out to my boy who's going to be on that Bucks rotation next year.
Yeah, because you don't have anyone left after all you
They have De'Aaron Fox.
Point guards left.
He's the only other one.
I mean,
now that you brought in Drew
don't say that yet because we didn't get the Bogdan trade off. So
you
we
could
have
play
Bogdan and DJ still.
If you want to, because I personally for the way they're building, I don't think they're gonna keep Buddy Hield long term.
Didn't they sign him?
Huh?
Didn't they sign Buddy Hield?
I think in the future, this is a future play at this point. I'm saying in the next 3 years, this kid is going to be the starting shooting guard or point guard for this team.
Okay.
I think Aaron
the first contract I'm looking up. Buddy Hield has he's in the first year of his 4-year, $94 million contract.
100%. But I'm saying,
what's the argument?
I'm saying they did this pick down the line because Buddy Hield is the only he's not super old, but this team is a young team that's developing.
Harrison Barnes is 30.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes is 30.
They need it, but eventually they're going to move these players off so they can start getting the right pieces in place.
No, they wouldn't have paid money.
Harrison Barnes is on a contract for another 3 years, and he's getting over 20
It's
a year.
a terrible contract. They're going to get off of it at some point soon. They're going to trade out of that contract.
That contract.
That's like saying, John Wall is going to be off the Wizards before that Supermax is up.
We could
No.
be. He could
He won't. No one's going to be able to match that type of money unless they're throwing
be. Russell Westbrook could match that contract.
Why would they?
You're going to trade injury-prone athletic one guard for not injury-prone ball hog.
Yeah.
Mm.
That
Man,
could happen, though. That
This
trade
makes
matches up.
complete sense.
That trade matches up, though.
It matches up money-wise, but nowhere else.
Let's shift gears here to one of the more exciting teams in the NBA, the Pelicans. Now, as of now, they've traded Drew Holiday and they've just gained 2 more point guards in Eric Bledsoe and George Hill. They have a need at the forward center kind of position. Jackson Hayes didn't really turn out how they wanted last year, and Derek Favors is Where are we thinking right now with the Pelicans?
I'm saying either Aaron Naismith
Okay.
or Precious last name.
Achua?
Yes, that. I can't pronounce his name. I tried
in Memphis. They play ball together. Obviously, Precious got overlooked. But some of those players that get overlooked by their better player that gets drafted, those guys turn out pretty good. I mean, look at P.J. Washington. Because he played on a great team with, 2 guys drafted before him that are on the same team, he ended up being slept on and kind of ended up being the better one.
I'm going to go with Kira Lewis Jr.
Grab another point guard. Fourth one for that lineup.
That's so dumb. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Justin helped me before on a pick. I literally don't have any idea. Eric's on a point. Not really.
He's a good three-point shooter, and in the future, let's just think about it. Zion
They
Williams
need,
is going to need a shooter.
Here's the thing. If they take Kira Lewis, J.J. Redick's not coming back. He could easily replace J.J. Redick.
He could.
Because Kira Lewis isn't the dynamic playmaker that Lonzo is, so they can be on the court at the same time.
He's gonna be a catch and shoot point.
I'm agreeing with you. I really think they're gonna take Precious here. Kira Lewis. Yeah,
But Acuna is a terrible pick for them because he doesn't shoot. He's not a good shooter.
You're right.
And Zion, you're gonna have to build this team like the Milwaukee Bucks built their team.
Are they really gonna take Kira Lewis?
Precious is a great compliment to have on the floor with Zion.
Why? But that's just gonna clog the lane, in my opinion.
No. What? If you're putting the ball in Zion's hands, you can have him at the point or the wing. And
Zion
you don't
at the point.
right, though, because you have one of the best pick and roll forwards coming out of this draft in Precious.
Why are we sleeping on Aaron Naismith here?
Aaron Naismith is a good
we are.
player.
We kept bringing him up, but no one had anything fun to say about him.
He's a great player. He's a good shooter. He could be in there too because he's a great shooter. He's a great. And I think they're going to take, and I don't care which order it goes in. They're going to take a shooter for this team that needs more shooters.
You know what, Justin? That is the first logical thing you've said all tonight.
I've
Thank
gotten
you.
all picks
That is
right.
true. I
Not
don't
as
care
many
how
as
many
you,
picks
obviously,
you've gotten
but
right. That doesn't mean they were good picks. Logan's nailed all of them, and I disagreed with most of them.
Yeah.
I feel like I've at least gotten more than half of them with Logan.
Another thing is, I look very much towards best fit, like team needs. Logan's mostly best available.
And guess what? Because I know what I'm doing. Kira Lewis Jr. goes to the Pelicans.
They just got George Hill, who's a great 3-point shooter. They had J.J. Redick, who's probably willing to resign.
It's like I don't know what I'm talking about though.
You really don't. So we're getting to the last pick of the lottery.
Did you go with me on that, Logan?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
He said Kira Lewis. He kept saying Kira Lewis.
Yep. because that's who I said was logical. He's the best 3-point. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in this entire draft class, and they need more shooters. And I said they're going to take Kira Lewis.
Congratulations, Justin! Everyone, Chris, let's give him a round of applause. He did it.
He's just not a good player to have alongside Zion.
He's not a player that's going to be he's a bench player. At this point, you're building.
I could see Kira Lewis being traded in the future, but probably not.
He's a good shooter. They need more shooters.
Coming up with Fred.
They need more shooters.
Cole Anthony. I got Cole Anthony going.
I'm like 15 seconds behind. Who's 14?
The Boston Celtics.
This is gonna be my last pick of the night. I'll be done for the lottery.
Okay. I mean, I would love to keep going, but if I can get the lottery right, I think I'll go home happy.
All right. I've got Cole Anthony.
They have there's no centers. There's no centers left in this draft.
The only rebounder they have is Precious. I'm saying Cole Anthony just because I don't have a reason. I don't have a logical purpose for them to take him, but
let me ask you this. Do you think Gordon Hayward's going to be on the Celtics roster opening day?
Yes.
Yes, because he's going to pick up that massive player option. They're not going to be able to move it.
I'm iffy on it, and I think the Celtics are iffy on it. That is a dumb reason to go this route. A guy who's been number one on the board for a minute. He had a perfect lottery. Aaron Naismith.
That is a really shaky reason to take him. I think they're going for guard depth because they don't have any. They have Kemba, they have Jaylen Brown, and then they have another 2 guard who's not a very good primary ball handler in Marcus Smart. They don't have any other guards. They need guards.
Well, we want to make
and also, as Kemba Walker, he had a bad, it wasn't a great playoffs. Let's just be honest. It wasn't a good play. You're right. They might need a point guard later down the road to take a flyer on. I think you could get him later with another one of your picks, but I think it's between Precious Achiuwa and Cole Anthony. I think it's between those 2 players.
Oh, you're not even gonna go Naismith here?
I don't.
No.
So when he gets taken, what are you gonna say to me?
I could see it happening just because they would be like, he's coming off the bench and he's going to be a good shooter for our team. I get it. That if you're taking shooters, he's the best shooter available left on the board. So it's not a bad pick. I'm just saying.
Besides Jason Tatum, they really don't have a guy that's like his job is to snipe.
Right.
You know?
They have no snipers. They have shooters. They have
Marcus Smart.
Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart has had a solid 3-point shooting, whatever. He's just been doing it. He's just been chucking threes for some reason. Brad Wanamaker was a good shooter, but he's hitting the free agency. Gordon Hayward's even a shooter. They had shooters this year, but none of them are just, there for sharpshooting. They have no spot up in the corner, and this is your job.
When you have a lottery pick, you're going for a guy you want to be in the rotation. In the playoff time, the Boston Celtics run a 7 to 8 man rotation. They take a guard here, he won't be in the rotation just because of how many minutes Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker play. Kevin Naismith, final answer.
I think they would take a guard, and I think they'd take a guard that would be a spark player because they don't have any creativity coming off the bench right now. Besides, Marcus Smart is a good defender, but he's not creative on the offensive side of the ball.
Cole is a dog, and I think that it would be a very good pick for them.
You know what? I will say this. If Boston doesn't take Cole Anthony, which I don't think they will, I think Orlando will.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they were definitely
that at least I see.
Can we talk about how upset?
You would arguably start for them possibly right away.
Orlando is so upset right now because they had interviewed Patrick Williams multiple times, thinking easily that he was going to be available then.
Yeah.
And then the Bulls did something that.
But you're saying that, Chris, you're saying Cole Anthony goes right now.
Either Cole Anthony or RJ Hampton, but I'm saying Cole Anthony.
Wait, you're not even gonna go Aaron Naismith with me?
No.
I would say
All right,
Aaron Naismith
I'm
is
not
higher.
saying I already locked it in, so I can't go back. I am not confident then. Damn.
I think
I'm not saying it can't happen. There have been some really confusing picks. Obi Toppin went to the Knicks. They have 4 power forwards on their roster. But I just see a guard being the most reasonable pick here. Aaron Naismith's not out of this world to say, but I think that Cole Anthony and RJ Hampton would make the most sense for their roster. Cole Anthony more because he's more explosive off the bench, but RJ Hampton is arguably a more quality playmaker and has pro experience in Australia now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say either of those picks makes sense for them. Aaron Naismith's not out of this world because it gives them more forward depth. So that's my point of view.
Here's the thing: if Aaron Naismith gets taken, you gotta stay at least a little bit until I miss a pick.
If Aaron Naismith gets taken with this pick,
I'll go with you on Aaron Naismith. I'll go with you.
Till you're wrong, but
All right.
Because he's the best player available, I'll go with the picks in. It's Aaron Naismith. Spar, what you doing over there, bud?
pouting because my back hurts.
He's a great shooter, and he gets put with a team that needs more shooters. It's a smart pick. It is. I agree that you had a point to be made, and I was with you on some of the points that were being made about Cole Anthony going here. But Naismith was supposed to go earlier in this draft, and he hasn't gone yet. And the man shot like almost, 45% from three?
He shot 52% from three.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's unbelievable. He
played 3 games.
People
are very. Hey, 3 game, 3-pointer.
Here's the thing with Aaron Naismith. The only reason he fell, you'd figure, he shot 52% from 3. That's wild. He played in 3 games. He fell because
he played last year and he shot 45% from 3 last year.
Yes, and that's another incredible stat. Joe Harris shot 47.8% from 3.
Joe Harris is a good player.
Yes. I'm just saying 45% is very good. 52% is unrealistic and
obviously,
unsustainable.
Yeah. We're not talking. That's why I said that I took his freshman year stats instead, because that's obviously more important than 3 games. Obviously, he can shoot we don't even have to argue. He can shoot the 3-pointer better than almost everybody in this draft.
I have RJ Hampton going to Orlando. I'm locking in my.
Cole Anthony.
It's Cole Anthony. It's Cole Anthony, right? It's Cole Anthony.
It's Cole Anthony.
In my mind.
Orlando has nothing. They have nothing interesting.
They need to sell tickets, Chris.
They're taking the Australian.
The Australian.
I'm telling you, it's going to be RJ Hampton. It's going to be RJ Hampton.
You know that RJ Hampton isn't Australian.
Yeah, I know, but he played in Australia.
But you just said the Australian.
Yeah,
trade.
Australia.
I want to see a trade. In the next few picks, can I get a trade? One. We didn't get one in the lottery.
It's probably going to be Cole Anthony. It's probably going to be Cole Anthony. There's no reason for it not to be. He's just rated higher. He's more athletic. He's a better shooter.
I'm so happy I got a lot.
You killed the lottery. Who is it? It's Cole Anthony, you're saying, right?
I'm trying to think of. There's no other point guard that makes sense, right? There's
it has to be a point guard.
The next point guard's Trey Jones.
Yeah, it's Cole Anthony.
It has to be. They need the splash. They have
Do not know
at
who.
this.
Wait, hold on. He shot 34% his rookie year, his freshman year. It's on screen.
It's gonna be Cole Anthony, right?
Huh? Probably. I don't.
You go RJ Hampton. I could disagree with you guys. You could go RJ Hampton, but that'd be risking my perfect record.
The safe pick would be Cole Anthony if you're trying to keep your record.
Safe because I think Cole Anthony is a risk. He's either going to be great or terrible. There's no in between.
At this point, this is the spot where you take a player like that.
The Magic are a sucker for hype. They took Jonathan Isaac because he is 6'11". They were like, this guy's
First of all, Jonathan Isaac is a great player. Shame on you. They took the hype.
he's an elite defender now, but when they took him, dude, he spent the better part of his rookie season in the G League. And then he spent his sophomore season, half of it, or like the first like few weeks still in the G League. He did not open the season with any, like, he did not open his career. He was cold.
I think this is 100% our last pick.
Aww.
I know. We don't want to ruin your streak, so this is
Okay.
just so Spar can get going and, you know, my girlfriend doesn't get mad at me.
Alrighty.
Priorities.
You have to have him here. You know? We can argue
Where's
about
the pick?
sports, but the pick's in.
Dude, the pick has been in.
What we
30 seconds.
at this point, it's worth taking any risk that's necessary because if Cole Anthony becomes a great player, he's in Orlando where nothing good has been. Like, they're the most mediocre team. Like, the best thing that ever happened to them was they got O'Neal for a little bit, and then he left.
I just want to say, whoever's picking here at 15, gotta remember.
I guess Dwight Howard too.
Picked 15.
Dwight Howard too.
You know, they've been a playoff team for 2 straight years, right?
But they've
Yes.
been at playoff team. They've been the 8th seed.
Okay, then still playoffs.
They made the Bucks compete.
A
They
game.
did.
Vucevic is underrated.
He is.
He's very underrated.
I feel bad. They're mediocre enough to not get a good enough player in the draft to get any better, and they don't draw free agents.
They're stuck in that Wizards territory they were in for years. Good enough to compete, but never good enough to.
Exactly. They don't have the ability to get a trade done really that well either right now to get another. Like, they need to take a flyer that can turn it. It's just like the Denver Nuggets have built their team, all right? The Denver Nuggets have taken players that have had issues, and they've just panned out to be good players. They need to start taking players like that. You gotta take a risk to become a good team.
Detroit 16. Since we're gonna be getting off in a second. Isaiah Stewart or RJ Hampton.
That's
Detroit?
tough because that's tough. They took a point guard.
Take another one. Take another one.
They take a shooting. They probably take RJ Hampton, right? They need a shooting guard. And
RJ
he's got
Hampton's
he's
the point
got
guard.
upside. He's got some upside. We don't know how good he was gonna be.
RJ
Probably one of the
Hampton
best.
isn't the shooting guard.
What's up?
RJ Hampton isn't.
I
a
know.
shooting
I
guard.
didn't say
think
they were
Tyrese
taking a
Maxey.
point guard. I said they were taking a shooting guard because they need one.
Tyrese Maxey to. I'm saying Tyrese Maxey goes.
They need a shooting
I'll,
guard.
I'll throw Isaiah. Again, we're not gonna be like into it, so I'll just say Isaiah Stewart.
I don't think it's Isaiah Stewart. I think it's Tyrese Maxey.
Well, we haven't thought a lot of things tonight.
RJ.
Yeah, they've all been reasonable.
We forget.
Tyrese Maxey is one of the best.
Orlando's pick is in. It's Cole Anthony. It was obvious. Like, that pick was obvious, right? I mean,
It was, but it's still funny.
so we'll end it on that
Alright.
because he went perfect. Basically, I think he went perfect, right?
He did. He got all of them.
You're like Tom Brady out here.
Nah, Tom Brady lost Super Bowls.
You're unprecedented then, I guess.
No, honest God, it was more just luck than anything. It was fun, guessing and joking around.
No, but we all use logic. Chris used some logic.
No. Here's your problem. Y'all use logic. See, when I was thinking Obi Toppin for the Knicks, I was thinking like the Knicks.
See, but I went with you on the Obi Toppin thing. I agreed with that. They were taking the best player. I thought that was a good pick for them, by the way. Other people will say
Like, poor Cole Anthony not being a lottery pick.
I think he went to a good situation. That team could be competitive.
A situation he can mold, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
He
It's not where he stays.
He
but
can be a starter for that team.
I like his like they've been doing like the kind of player that everyone is. For Cole Anthony, it was confident shooter. Not efficient shooter, not good shooter, confident shooter.
Hey, at least Orlando's
I
got.
can't wait to use him in 2K.
They don't have the better Anthony, but at least they got one, right? Like they got someone.
A very good point.
Like
Who's Portland gonna take? I say Jaden McDaniels.
Wait, did we get the first trade?
Yeah.
Portland traded up.
Jaden McDaniels.
Did they trade up?
Pretty sure.
I thought this was Detroit's pick.
It was Detroit's pick.
No, oh no. Detroit traded up.
Oh yeah. Detroit got the. Didn't Detroit get this pick earlier?
Detroit traded up with Houston. Detroit stole Houston's pick. I don't think Detroit
Wait, did
ever
Detroit trade this pick away then to the?
No, because this makes sense. This was the 8th seed in the West. 16, it goes to the 8th seed in the West.
The Trailblazers are picking right now.
Yes, they were the 8th seed.
That's what I'm saying. But it was it was Detroit's pick.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This could be one of those instances where they're picking for them, maybe. I'm not sure. But
It's a trade. It was a trade. It was the Robert. It was the Robert Covington trade.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So the Detroit got Robert Covington through this, I'm assuming. And then the Trailblazers got this pick. So it was a by-way trade. So I think the Rockets gave Detroit Covington, and then Detroit gave or Portland gave Covington to then Detroit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and this is Detroit's pick, I gotta stop here because after this
This is definitely the trail. I'm saying that because Detroit.
Who's picking this?
I'm pretty sure it's
The
Portland.
Trailblazers are picking this.
The
Detroit
Trailblazers are picking
picked
for. Yeah, the Trailblazers are getting this pick.
Okay. So let's think about the Trailblazers. What do they already have? What do they already have?
Trevor. So wait, are they might be selecting for the Rockets actually in this trade. You might have been right. I'm so confused on what's going on here.
Yeah, this is the Rockets pick.
I think this is the Rockets pick.
I say it's Jaden McDaniels.
It's Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, darn.
I don't know what to do because we don't know who's picking.
It's the Rockets. It's the Rockets
Okay,
pick.
if it's the Pistons, Isaiah Stewart. If it's the
It's already Isaiah Stewart.
Ooh, interesting. You see,
I don't know because I feel like all these teams it'd be for a center for the Pistons they need a center. If the Rockets, they don't have a center on the roster anymore. They might be rebuilding. And the Trailblazers, it would just be dumb for them to pick a center. So let's just Isaiah Stewart. I don't know.
Bobby Brown.
All right.
You already
Well,
picked.
I have no idea. It could be probably RJ Hampton actually, but I'm gonna go.
There's already Isaiah Stewart.
Logan went basically undefeated today. He's undefeated.
Having a small mental breakdown during this pick. It was already Isaiah Stewart.
Oh, was it real? Oh, I'm seeing
Yeah.
it now. Ah. So he goes to the Trail. I'm so confused.
He goes to the Rockets. That was the Rockets. The Trailblazers selected for the Rockets.
Okay.
And then the
All right,
Trailblazers
but-
get Patrick Covington. Or not they get
No,
Okay.
Rob Covington.
Robert Covington. Robert Covington.
All right, well, this is where I take my leave.
All right. We all gotta head off then.
We're all going to head out. Thank you for anyone that joined us for our stream of the Nexus Sports NBA draft. It went nothing as any of us expected, just like every draft seems to go.
That's not true.
Logan went perfect because obviously he knew something that we didn't know.
It was exactly how I expected.
We'll be doing stuff like this down the line. Maybe we'll do a Super Bowl show or something like that or down the line. So keep updated with these. We hope you enjoyed the show and have a great night, everyone. Unless you're a Knicks fan, then you know it's going to be a terrible night any night.
Night, guys.
Later, guys.